All right, everybody, welcome back to a new, or not welcome back, but welcome to a new album review series. Of course, we recently, got through all the Alice in Chains stuff, ranked all of it. I've popped up some wrestling reviews recently. We've done the ranking the Friday the 13th movies, the ranking every Jason look, all super fun stuff. But we're entering a new chapter here, and last time I looked at did the one-off review of Anderson, Bruford, Wakeman, Howe, and if you watched that, then you saw what we were looking at next. Quite a jump in genre here, but I like to kind of mix it up, do some different stuff. We're going from just straight up prog rock to straight up death metal with some of the pioneers of death here, of death metal. Death itself. Man, this is one of the rarest records I own for sure. I got it maybe a month or so ago. Paid a pretty penny for it. Original press and everything. Great shape. It's got the band on the back. Love the art. Ed Repka, one of my favorite album artists. He's done all kinds of cool stuff for like Toxic and Megadeth and of course Death. And a ton of other awesome stuff. But yeah, this is definitely the heaviest stuff we've looked at so far on the channel. Slayer was probably at that point we just took it up another notch with Death, and of course we're talking about today their 1987 debut, Scream Bloody Gore. And I tell you right now, my history with this band is this was my first ever death metal album I've ever heard, first ever death metal band I'd ever really went out of my way to listen to, because for me, I was and I'm still relatively new to death metal, right? Like 3 or 4 years in now. But I mean, I've listened to a shitload of them. Cannibal Corpse, Death, Morbid Angel, Sepultura, Entombed. All that awesome stuff. Obituary. And there's a ton more out there that I've looked into and everything. So I mean, I dove in deep right off the bat after I really got into it, and it was thanks to this album right here. And kind of like I talked about when I did do a Slayer album review of Rain and Blood, that being like my first Slayer album I had listened to, and I didn't hate it, but at first, but it was kind of jarring to me or whatever. It was kind of the same situation for me with this. Like, I was like, man, I love that artwork so much, and I've heard so many great things about these guys. So years ago, I checked them out, and I was like, man, it was just so jarring. I didn't really know what. I was like, well, okay. I got about a song or two in, and I was like, all right, I need to, put it down and maybe take a look, take a step back for a second. Then, I come back maybe a month or so later, and I'm like, look, just sit through the whole damn record, and see, and then I can really have a true opinion on it. And man, I tell you, just that time, something clicked in it for me, man. Something freaking clicked in it for me. And, I've been a huge death metal fan ever since, and a huge fan of Death, ever since. But with all that being said here, I mean, man, just what an incredible looking cover. I can't get over that. This is such an awesome piece for me. I'm still just stoked that I got it. But anyways, we start off the first, this is the first death metal band, first death metal album, I'd really listened to. And the first death metal song I ever listened to is this first track, Infernal Death. And that's, I mean, no wonder this one, it kind of, was jarring to me at first, because it just blasts off right off the bat, man. I mean, screaming death, and growling, and just Chuck Schuldin's vocals. I mean, today he's my favorite, even today, he's my favorite death growler, or death metal vocalist, period. Him and Michael Eckerfeldt from Opeth, he's another really freaking good one too, was one of my favorites. But, maybe I'm just biased because Chuck was my first vocalist I really got into death metal with. And, he does the vocals, guitars, and bass on here. He was just such a virtuoso with this stuff. And you got them banging drums on this from Chris Reifert. I think, yeah, that's a, and then a John Hand on rhythm guitar. You know, the lineup always kind of was, you know, wishy-washy for these guys, as we'll kind of see as we go along. But Chuck was always, I mean, it was his band, you know. But Infernal Death is just an incredible, incredible song to open it up. I mean, that was the first death metal song I ever heard. So it was enough for the first time I tried listening to this to be like, oh God, let me take a step back for a second. This is something else. Just like the growls, the blast beat drums, man. I mean, it's just a heavy as all hell classic death track. Then we go into one of my favorites immediately off this thing with track number 2, Zombie Ritual. Come on, man. This thing is like a freaking anthem, you know, with just Zombie Ritual. You know, I'm not going to do the death growl and stuff right here, but, you know, because, I mean, I can sing them. It's fun singing that death metal stuff, but, you know, I'm not going to try to mimic any of that going on in these reviews. But, yeah, Zombie Ritual is just such a badass head-banging song. I love that chorus. It's so hooky. The lyrics are just gnarly as all get out. The lyrics on this album are definitely some of like the most gory, I mean, as the, you know, album title says, Scream Bloody Gore. And it just freaking disgusting stuff, and I love that. I love it, you know. I'm a big fan of Cannibal Corpse, so of course, you know, I love that kind of gory, just horror-themed, you know, lyrics that, you know, that are definitely prevalent on here. Like in the song Zombie Ritual. I mean, it's got some freaking gnarly stuff going on in there. Then we go to Denial of Life, and man, whew, another fast-paced kicker here with just some cool time changes and everything going on. This one is just the growls that are on Denial of Life and the melodies. That's the great thing about this here. I mean, there are that, you know, a lot of people don't realize there are melodies and stuff within death metal. You know, even if you don't know what they're saying. I mean, hey, read the lyrics. You don't even have to care what they're saying. There's some melodies and stuff you'll find in there. I mean, maybe it's not as, you know, prominent in some tracks as compared to, you know, others as far as the melody goes, but there's melody to be found in death metal for sure. And I mean, Denial of Life has got it here. And this is another top tier one for me. Definitely love Denial of Life. I love the lyrics and that and everything. Really, really cool and dark and just morbid sound to it. Then we go with Sacrificial. That's another just top tier one for me right off the bat again. I mean, Sacrificial, you know, he's yelling sacrificial cunt, I despise. I mean, what the? Just insanity, man. Insanity. I love it. And this one has just got like this super, super, super blast beat drums, man, just going at it. So freaking hardcore. And, you know, just the way Chuck's like, sacrificial, you know, just really, really fast. And then it just kind of, the riff just kind of shakes up and changes on you real quick. I love that about this song. This has been one of my favorite ones for a long time as well. One of my favorite death songs of all time. Then we go close out that side one with Mutilation, which is another solid track. Probably not one of my favorites off here per se, but I mean, it's a good one. Once, you know, we kind of watched this series, I mean, Death is just, it's one of my favorite bands of all time. So there's not going to be probably a lot of negativity going on, but there will be, you know, some stuff here and there that we might talk about that I maybe like less than other stuff. But no, Mutilation isn't a bad track at all. Just probably not one of my favorites, not one of my go-tos, but I do dig it. Cool one to close out side one. Man, side two, we open up with another just freaking hell of a track, Regurgitated Guts. I mean, dude, I love the titles of these songs. And this one, again, just on a, you know, you flip over the record and hop on side two and bam, it's right in your face again with just some insanity going on, man. I mean, just the lyrical themes, the riffs, and the shredding. And the fact that, you know, and the bass on this album, by the way, is just really, really solid sounding, man. It's got a thick noise to it on that bass, which, of course, you know, Chuck's doing guitar stuff and bass. So, of course, you know, he's going to want that to be out in front. And it's definitely there, and you can hear it. There's a great solo on Regurgitated Guts. Really, really, really awesome song. This next track might just be my favorite off here. I'd probably either go Zombie Ritual or this one, Baptized in Blood. The time changes on this one, man. I mean, my God, you know, because you get like the like in the chorus, you know, the baptized in blood, and then just a really really fast, you know, and quick little riff and shredding part, and then, you know, a big scream, and then just right back to that same kind of melody, and it's like just so technical, man. I mean, Chuck really was a technical musician, and it shows in tracks like Baptized in Blood. And we'd see him delve into a lot, you know, more experimental territory as we go along in here. But Baptized in Blood, the time signatures on that thing are fascinating, just insanity. I mean, it keeps you on edge. Then we go to Torn to Pieces, another solid track here. Can't go wrong with Torn to Pieces, just a freaking killer track. Then Evil Dead, I like this one. It's probably named after the horror movie Evil Dead and that series, and I definitely dig this one. Another solid track. Yet again, probably Torn to Pieces I'd say Torn to Pieces and Evil Dead, or some others that I'm not drawn to right off the bat. You know, I mean, I like them. They're great songs, but they don't quite. Those aren't my go-tos off here, for sure. Then we cap it off, side 2, with the title track, Scream Bloody Gore. That's probably the lengthiest one on here, because, you know, a lot of and there are a lot of death metal bands that have like quicker tracks, or 3-4 minute. This one, I think, you know, went near the 5-minute mark, if I'm not mistaken. And it just, you know, this is another example of just the technical ability of Chuck and the gang here. You know, John Hand and Chris Reifert, which I don't even remember if they're on the next album. I don't think they are. I think this is like the one-time lineup thing here, if I'm not mistaken. We'll check it out next time. But man, the Scream Bloody Gore, the title track, is another just really cool. I like the length it gets, and there's a lot of different things going on here that keeps it interesting. The evolution of the riff and just the shreddiness going on here. Chuck is a hell of a guitar player, and it baffles me that, man, he's doing this lead stuff on, you know, and singing and playing bass. It's just that is all respect to him, man. You only gotta like death or death metal, but man, Chuck, I mean, you can't. The talent there from being able to do all three of those things in on an album, you know, and of course, he plays guitar live on stage and sings, and he'll do the solos and stuff if you've seen footage, and just insanity, man. Awesome stuff. Scream Bloody Gore, incredible album. This was my introductory to death metal. Of course, I'd heard stuff like before, you know, clicking through YouTube or whatever, and I was just like, or people showing me, I'm like, you know, I can't really get into that, you know. But this is the one that did it for me and popped my death metal cherry. So, you know, this one is definitely, I have a special place for this album for sure. Doing that, I can pop it on any freaking time, and I'm gonna have a blast with it. Top stuff off here, like I said, Zombie Ritual, Sacrificial, Denial of Life, Baptized in Blood, Regurgitated Guts. That's some of my favorite stuff off here, and the title track for sure. Every song's awesome off here, but those are like my top rated ones. And when I think of this album, those are the ones that come to mind. So yeah, I'm just super excited to be delving back into these guys. I took a little break from listening to them in preparation, you know, so I get a fresh listen. As I do with all this stuff, you know, I maybe take a couple months because I kind of have in my head like what I'm going to be covering, you know, over the next couple of bands and everything like that I'll be covering. So I do like prepare by like just taking breaks from them, you know, in the months leading up to it. But so this was just as great sounding as ever, and one of the best debut albums of all time, if you ask me. But anyways, guys, what do you think of death, and what do you think of death metal, and you know, me delving into that, and us going to be taking a look at it, and this artwork. We can talk about a little bit of that stuff, and some of our favorite Ed Repka artwork down there. I'm all for it, man, because I love his art. I even went on his Wikipedia page, like, and just was looking through all his art, you know, for all the albums and stuff he's done. Just super cool. And you know, are you guys fans of death metal? If not, maybe try following along, and you might just like me. I never thought I'd be listening to this, right? Like 10 years ago or whatever, but here I am enjoying the living hell out of death metal, and the band, one of the pioneers of it, Death. This has been, you know, Possessed has been one of the pioneers of death metal, been touted as that, and same with them. I guess there's not really any true first one ever, right? But I've heard them be called the first death metal band. And I've heard Possessed be called that as well. So, don't really matter who, you know, either way, those are both great bands. And this is definitely one of the pioneers, you know, one of the Mount Rushmore bands, of death metal, if you ask me. And this album is the one that started it all for them. So stay tuned, guys. We're gonna check out their sophomore album, Leprosy, and I'm super hyped. We get some more cool artwork going on, some more cool stuff to talk about. We're heading down the death metal rabbit hole with Death. So anyways, yeah, let's talk about it down there, and I'm hoping to see some of you death metal heads down there. Anyways, like, subscribe, comment, and thanks.